Stop negative self-talk and build a positive mindset. The way we speak to ourselves has a profound impact on our lives. Our inner dialogue shapes how we see the world, how we react to challenges, and even how we feel about ourselves. Negative self-talk is like a silent enemy, whispering doubts, fears, and insecurities into our minds. It tells us we're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. Over time, these thoughts create deep-seated beliefs that can hold us back from achieving our true potential. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." If you constantly tell yourself that you're not capable, that's exactly what you will believe. If your mind is filled with thoughts of failure, you will start to act in ways that reinforce those thoughts. But the opposite is also true. When you fill your mind with empowering and positive beliefs, you build confidence, strength, and resilience. Think about it. How often do you catch yourself saying things like, "I always mess up," "I'll never be successful," or "I'm not good at anything"? These thoughts may seem small at first, but over time they create mental patterns that shape your reality. Your mind listens to everything you say, and the more you repeat negative statements, the more they become ingrained in your subconscious. Negative self-talk is sneaky. It often disguises itself as logic or truth. It tells you, "I'm just being realistic." But in reality, it's a cycle of self-sabotage. If you tell yourself you're destined to fail, you may not even try. If you constantly focus on your weaknesses, you will ignore your strengths. The mind is incredibly powerful, and the way you talk to yourself has the ability to shape your future. Negative thoughts don't just appear out of nowhere. They have a source, a root. Understanding where they come from is key to breaking their hold over you. Many of these thoughts are planted early in life. Maybe as a child, you were told you weren't good enough, or perhaps a mistake you made in school made you believe you weren't smart. Over time, these small experiences shape the way you think about yourself. What starts as an isolated event becomes a pattern, a habit of doubting yourself. Society also plays a role. Social media constantly bombards us with perfect images, making us feel like we're not doing enough. Maybe you've faced criticism from family or peers, making you question your worth. If you were raised in a negative environment, surrounded by people who always pointed out flaws rather than strengths, it's easy to absorb that negativity. But here's the truth. Not every thought you have is true. Just because your mind tells you something doesn't mean it's a fact. You don't have to accept every negative idea that enters your head. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "The mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original dimensions." This means that once you become aware of the negativity you've been holding on to, you can start changing it. So how do you recognize these toxic thoughts? Start paying attention. The next time you hear that inner voice saying, "I'm not good enough," or "I always fail," stop and ask yourself, where did this thought come from? Is it really mine, or was it given to me by someone else? Would you say this to a friend? If not, then why say it to yourself? Awareness is the first step toward change. Once you identify the source of your negative self-talk, you begin to take its power away. Instead of letting it control you, you start taking control of it. Once you become aware of your negative self-talk, the next step is to change the way you respond to it. You don't have to accept negative thoughts as the truth. You have the power to reframe them. Your mind believes what you tell it, whether positive or negative. If you constantly say, "I always fail," your brain will look for proof to confirm that belief. Every small mistake will feel like more evidence that you are not good enough. But what if you change the narrative? What if instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," you said, "I'm still learning, and I will get better"? The way you frame your thoughts determines how you experience life. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." This means that your mindset, your attitude toward yourself, shapes your future. If you constantly tear yourself down, you make it harder to succeed. But if you start speaking to yourself with encouragement, you set yourself up for growth. Think about the last time you doubted yourself. Maybe you told yourself, "I can't do this," or "I'm not smart enough." Now take that same thought and reframe it into something empowering. Instead of "I can't do this," say, "I can figure this out." Instead of "I always fail," say, "Every failure is a lesson that helps me improve." Instead of "I'm not good enough," say, "I am growing and becoming better every day." This is not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about shifting from self-doubt to self-improvement. When you start reframing your negative thoughts into positive ones, your mindset begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who can't and start seeing yourself as someone who can. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Just like negative thoughts became a habit over time, positive thinking can also become a habit. It all starts with one simple decision: to change the way you speak to yourself. Negative thoughts can feel so automatic that we barely notice them. But when we pause and reflect, we start to see patterns. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "I always mess things up," or "Nothing ever goes right for me"? These are not just passing thoughts. They come from somewhere. Often, our negative self-talk is shaped by past experiences. Maybe a teacher once told you that you weren't smart enough. Maybe you grew up in an environment where people criticized you more than they encouraged you. Or perhaps you had failures in the past that made you doubt yourself. These words and experiences plant seeds in our minds, and over time, they grow into deeply held beliefs. But here's the truth: just because you've believed something for a long time doesn't make it true. As Waldo Emerson said, "Do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." This means you don't have to follow the old path of self-doubt. You can create a new path of self-belief. Start paying attention to when negative thoughts arise. What triggers them? Is it when you face a challenge? When you see someone else succeeding? When you make a mistake? By recognizing these triggers, you gain power over them. Awareness is the first step toward change. Now, take a moment to reflect. Are the negative things you tell yourself truly your own thoughts, or are they echoes of someone else's words? Would you allow a stranger to speak to you the way you sometimes speak to yourself? If the answer is no, then it's time to challenge those thoughts and replace them with ones that empower you. Your thoughts have power, but what many people don't realize is that thoughts are not facts. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean it's true. Yet, when negative thoughts repeat over and over, they start to feel like reality. This is where the power of reframing comes in. Reframing is the ability to take a negative thought and look at it from a different perspective. Instead of saying, "I always fail," you can say, "I learn from my mistakes and keep improving." Instead of, "I'm not good enough," try, "I am growing and becoming better every day." These small shifts in language may seem simple, but they make a huge difference in how you feel and act. Waldo Emerson said, "For every minute you remain angry, you give up 60 seconds of peace of mind." The same is true for negative self-talk. Every moment spent tearing yourself down is a moment lost in building yourself up. Imagine how different your life could be if, instead of criticizing yourself, you encouraged yourself. One powerful way to reframe negative thoughts is by questioning them. When you catch yourself thinking something negative, ask, "Is this thought actually true? Would I say this to a friend? Is there a more positive or realistic way to look at this?" By challenging your negative self-talk, you begin to weaken its power. Your brain starts to recognize that just because you think something doesn't mean you have to believe it. And once you change your beliefs, you change your entire mindset. The present moment is where real change happens. Many people allow their negative thoughts to pull them into the past, where they relive mistakes and regrets, or into the future, where they fear failure and disappointment. But the truth is, the past is gone, and the future hasn't happened yet. The only thing you truly have control over is right now. When you focus on the present, you take back your power. Instead of thinking, "I've always struggled with this, so I'll never improve," shift your mindset to, "What can I do today to get better?" Instead of fearing the future, remind yourself, "I am taking small steps now that will lead to big changes." Emerson said, "Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year." This means that every single day you have a new chance to make progress. You are not defined by your past, and you are not controlled by your fears. The key to breaking free from negative self-talk is to stay grounded in the present and take action in the moment. A great way to practice this is through mindfulness. When you feel overwhelmed by negative thoughts, take a deep breath and ask yourself, "What is real right now? What small action can I take at this moment to move forward? How can I bring my focus back to the present?" The more you practice staying in the present, the more control you gain over your thoughts. Instead of letting negativity shape your reality, you become the one in charge of your mindset. Words are powerful. The way you speak to yourself directly affects how you feel, what you believe, and what you achieve. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not smart enough," "I always fail," or "I'm not worthy," your mind will accept these statements as truth. But just as negative words can break you down, positive words can build you up. Think about how you would encourage a friend who is struggling. You wouldn't call them a failure or tell them they're not good enough. You would remind them of their strengths, their progress, and their ability to improve. So why not speak to yourself with the same kindness and encouragement? Emerson said, "We become what we think about all day long." This means that if you fill your mind with empowering words, you will start to believe in yourself more. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," try saying, "I am learning and improving every day." Replace "I'm not good enough" with "I am capable and growing." A simple but effective exercise is to write down 3 positive affirmations every morning. Say them out loud. Let your mind hear the words and absorb their power. Over time, these affirmations will replace the negative self-talk that has been holding you back. Your words shape your reality. Choose them wisely, and watch how they transform your confidence and mindset. Negative self-talk often stems from fear of failure, rejection, or not being good enough. But fear is just a thought, not reality. When you let fear control your inner dialogue, it holds you back from opportunities and growth. Waldo Emerson said, "Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain." The best way to silence self-doubt is through action. When you challenge your fears, they lose power. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" shift to, "What if I succeed?" Every step forward weakens fear and strengthens confidence. Negative self-talk becomes a habit when you repeat the same limiting beliefs over and over. The more you tell yourself, "I can't do this," the more your mind accepts it as truth. But just as negative thoughts can be repeated into habits, so can positive ones. Emerson once said, "Sow a thought and you reap an action. Sow an action and you reap a habit." If you want to break free from negativity, start by replacing small negative thoughts with positive ones. Instead of saying, "I always fail," say, "I am learning and improving." The words you choose shape your future, so choose wisely. Your mind is constantly listening to the words you say to yourself. If you keep telling yourself negative things, your brain will start to believe them, whether they are true or not. This is why it's important to become aware of your inner dialogue and take control of it. Instead of letting your mind run on autopilot with negative self-talk, pause and ask yourself, "Would I say this to a loved one?" If the answer is no, then you shouldn't say it to yourself either. Speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement, just as you would to a friend. Breaking free from negative self-talk takes practice, but one of the most effective techniques is replacing negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Your words shape your reality, so when you change your self-talk, you change your mindset. Start by identifying your most common negative thoughts. Then, create a positive affirmation to counter them. If you often think, I'm not good enough, replace it with, I am capable and always learning. If you say, I always fail, replace it with, every mistake is a lesson that makes me stronger. Repeat these affirmations daily. The more you say them, the more your mind will start to believe them. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping your thoughts. If you're surrounded by negativity, whether it's toxic people, negative news, or self-doubt, it becomes difficult to build a positive mindset. Take a moment to evaluate your surroundings. Are the people around you supportive and uplifting, or do they bring you down? Do you consume content that inspires growth, or does it make you feel worse about yourself? Start making small changes. Limit time with negative influences and seek out positivity, whether it's books, podcasts, or conversations with encouraging people. The more positivity you surround yourself with, the easier it becomes to silence negative self-talk. Your habits and routines shape your mindset more than you realize. If negative self-talk has become a habit, it's time to replace it with new, positive routines. Start by practicing daily affirmations. Every morning, stand in front of a mirror and say things like, I am capable, I am enough, and I deserve success. It may feel strange at first, but repetition rewires your brain. Journaling can also help. Write down one negative thought each day and then challenge it with a positive alternative. Over time, this simple practice weakens self-doubt and strengthens self-belief. Small, consistent efforts lead to lasting change. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping your mindset. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, whether from people, social media, or even your own habits, it becomes much harder to develop a positive mindset. Start by limiting your exposure to negativity. Reduce time spent with toxic people who bring you down. Unfollow accounts that make you feel insecure or unworthy. Instead, surround yourself with uplifting influences, books, podcasts, and people who inspire growth. As Emerson wisely said, do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Choose to create an environment that supports your best self, not one that keeps you stuck in negativity. Your actions shape your thoughts just as much as your thoughts shape your actions. If you constantly dwell on negativity but don't take action to change your circumstances, your mindset will remain the same. Start small. Engage in activities that uplift you, whether it's exercise, journaling, or simply spending time outdoors. When you take positive actions, even when you don't feel like it, your mind begins to follow. Emerson once said, "An ounce of action is worth a ton of theory." Instead of just thinking about change, take one small step today. Every positive action builds momentum toward a stronger, more confident you. Your environment plays a big role in shaping your mindset. If you surround yourself with negativity, whether it's toxic people, bad habits, or an unhealthy routine, it becomes harder to think positively. Take a look at your daily life. Do the people around you uplift or drain you? Are you consuming negative content or feeding your mind with inspiration? Start making small changes, limit time with toxic influences, and seek out positivity instead. Emerson said, "The only way to have a friend is to be one." Be the kind of person who spreads positivity, and in return, you'll attract the same energy into your life. Life will always present challenges, but your response to them shapes your growth. Emotional resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks instead of letting them define you. Many people allow failures and disappointments to reinforce their negative self-talk, believing they aren't capable or strong enough. But the truth is, every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. When things go wrong, don't see it as proof of failure. See it as feedback. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Instead of thinking, I always mess up, reframe it. This is a lesson that will make me better. Remember Emerson's words. Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising up every time we fail. Resilience is not about avoiding hardships, but about using them to become stronger. self-trust is the foundation of confidence. If you constantly doubt your decisions, second-guess your abilities, or fear failure, you weaken your belief in yourself. But when you trust yourself, you stop seeking approval from others and start believing in your own power. Think of all the times you've overcome difficulties before. You've handled challenges, made progress, and learned valuable lessons. Remind yourself, I have faced struggles before, and I made it through. I can handle whatever comes next. Trusting yourself means knowing that no matter what happens, you have the strength to adapt and grow. Emerson once said, "Self-trust is the first secret of success." The more you trust yourself, the more fearless you become in pursuing your goals and dreams. At the core of a positive mindset is self-love. Without it, negative self-talk takes over, filling your mind with doubt and self-criticism. Many people believe self-love is selfish, but in reality, it is the foundation of confidence, happiness, and inner peace. When you love yourself, you stop looking for validation from others. You stop allowing negative thoughts to control you. Start treating yourself with the same kindness and compassion you offer to loved ones. If you wouldn't say something harsh to a friend, why say it to yourself? Replace self-judgment with self-acceptance. Remind yourself that you are worthy, valuable, and enough, just as you are. Emerson's words remind us, make the most of yourself, for that is all there is of you. You have the power to change your thoughts and transform your life. Negative self-talk is not your truth. It is just a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed. Starting today, commit to speaking to yourself with love and encouragement. Stop waiting for confidence to appear. Build it with every positive thought, every small action, and every belief that you are enough. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your failures. You are strong, capable, and worthy of happiness. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, remember this: your mind is your most powerful tool. Use it wisely.